And I think so much of society focuses on money is the master and we are the slave. So I can't go to that university because it costs too much money. I can't buy that car because it costs too much money.
I believe I'm going to make everybody's life really simple when it comes to money.
I got better jobs, I got cooler jobs, still stuck at the same level.
We have the craziest belief system around money. But understand this, your money's coming out of your belief system. Hi, I'm Dave Conway, and I'm here with my wife, Jacqueline. Welcome to the 30-Day Year. On this podcast, we're sharing stories, ideas, and philosophies to show you what it takes to turn your annual income into your monthly income. I've learned that the first step to creating a 30-day year is entertaining new ideas that might at first appear strange or even laughable. But stick with us as we reveal that this idea is a very real way to build success. Our plan is to spark curiosity into what you're capable of achieving by exploring ideas around freedom, contribution, work, life, everything. The content may even disturb your perception of life a bit too, which we hope it does. This podcast is not about us, it's all about you. So sit back, relax, and come in with an open mind. Welcome to the 30-Day Year.
I'm going to talk about everybody's favorite thing today, which is money. Is it
Money,
your favorite?
money, money.
I told T-Bone, who produces our podcast, that we needed that song to play, but I didn't realize I already had a live musician. So
You got a singer in me.
That's right. So money is always a great thing to talk about. I actually really like talking about money.
A lot of people don't like to talk about it.
For sure. As you know, I love Parks and Rec, and there's this scene in, I don't remember what season, but Leslie Knope is like super gloaty because Eagleton is like bankrupt and has no money left. And I think, who's the girl that plays Anna in Frozen? She's blonde, she's really cute. What's her name? That's gonna drive me crazy. Anyway, she's the voice of Gossip Girl. You know her. She's cute. She's the counterpart in Eagleton. And so Leslie's like, we're here to talk about money. And
She's in Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Yes, exactly. Kristen something?
Oh, I don't know the name. I just see her face.
Can't believe I don't know her name. It's very much my thing to know people's names like that, but I can't remember it. So Leslie Knope comes into the room and she talks to her and she's like, we're here to talk about money. And she's like, we don't talk about money. We find it a little gauche. Because she's so like bougie and like they don't talk about money. They just spend it. They just spend it frivolously. Like they fill all of their public pools with bottled water. Total body hydration. And they have Michael Bublé on retainer. Anyway, sorry, I digress. I really like talking about money. I think it's such a good topic. I think people are weird and awkward about it. So let's make it weird and awkward.
Perfect. Let's talk about money.
Let's talk about money. So I think this is actually really timely too, because only yesterday you hosted an online event titled Money in the Mind. And you asked everybody in the crowd, like, what's money? And the responses were super interesting.
Some of the responses I got were power, comfort, security,
right,
the ability to buy something.
Yes.
You know, I was out for lunch with a couple hedge fund kind of dudes or investor guys.
Sure.
Like their job, their life is money.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much they have under management. I'm thinking it's north of $1 billion. I don't know if that's a lot or not, but like they manage a decent, in my perception, a lot of money.
Sure.
And I asked both of them, I was like, hey, what's money? And these guys are money men. Like they're money men.
Yeah.
Their life is money. They deal with money all day long. And they both gave different answers, which is so interesting.
Yeah, that is. What did they say?
One was like something about like a currency of exchange or a medium of exchange, and I forget the other guy's one.
See, that's where my mind went. Currency of exchange. It's like a measurement tool for goods and services. That's how I think of, like, if I'm just to define money in its like simplest essence, that's what it is. It doesn't mean something almost like emotional to me. You know, like security and freedom. Like money doesn't mean that to me.
Yeah, money doesn't mean that to me neither.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are out there selling like financial freedom.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can have enough money to live till you pass away to whatever lifestyle you choose for sure.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily constitute freedom, because freedom,
Right.
I don't think freedom comes from money.
Right. And I mean, remember Bernie Madoff? He was like one of the richest men in Manhattan, and he's far from free now.
Exactly.
He's in jail.
So, exactly. So, freedom is mental. Freedom is mental. So I'm always getting a wide range of answers when I ask that question. What is money? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Back in the day, well, it would have been, me trading you like a rock for, I don't know, like a piece of wood or something, like back in caveman times or something like that. And there's always been medium of exchange or trading or value associated to something.
Right.
And then it changed into gold, and then it changed into coins, and then it changed into paper, and then it changed into digital, and then it changed into plastic, and now we got crypto and, all kinds of things that are transferring from one place to another.
Yeah.
So money itself is always changing.
Right. Yes.
Right?
I see what you're saying there. Totally.
It's always changing.
Yeah.
So I believe I'm going to make everybody's life really simple when it comes to money.
Okay. Please do.
Money is an idea. That's all it is. It's an idea. And the one that can accept the idea is the one that can have the money. Money is an idea. Money is a medium that operates in the physical world. It should have no place in the non-physical world. It should not govern it. So in the Bible, it says the love of money is the root of all evil.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that it says that is because it's true. When you put money on the pedestal over the connection to your own growth, now you've placed money as the centerpiece of your life, and you are no longer drawing from the infinite supply or from your own internal potential. You are now deriving all your decision making from money.
Yes. Yeah. That's what you revere.
That's
essentially.
what you revere. That's right.
That's what you value in a way. Like
Yeah.
you don't value you don't value yourself or the people, you value just the dollar.
Like the amount of people that I've helped have a 30-day year where they turn their annual income into their monthly income.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do it, they're like, I thought it would like feel different.
Yeah.
So again, you'll hear me say this all the time. The purpose of a goal is not to get, the purpose of a goal is to grow. And back to the ignorance, it's like, why is everybody saying a different definition? If I held a cup up in front of you and I said, what is this? You'd say, well, that's a cup.
Mm-hmm.
But when I ask you, well, what's money? I get all these different answers. When I ask people what's money, I get all these different answers.
Yeah.
So at the end, it leads me to conclude that no one has a definition of what really money is, not even the money people.
Right.
So what is it really? Money is an idea. It's an idea. That's all it is. Now, what can we use money for? Well, money's used for two things. The first thing is to buy comfort, and the second is to buy service. That's what it should be used for.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to use money? Well, the best way to use money is to improve your own life and improve the lives of others.
Mm-hmm. So it's really what we're discussing right now is like our beliefs or our attitude around it.
Yeah, to define it, because anything that's not defined cannot be like worked on, cannot be clear in the head.
Yeah.
So whenever
it's interesting because we don't really clarify this as young people or as kids, even in school and stuff. I'm just trying to think like, when did I really start to learn about money to kind of get a sense of it? And I have memories of some high school math classes with Mr. DeClute. Shout out Mr. DeClute. And he was showing us teaching us how to basically calculate compound interest. And how you'd be like, yeah, you start with $100 and then this is the formula. So we're learning the math. And then he was getting so excited just like talking about compound interest. And that was like my first introduction to it, like the math behind it. And I was like, that is cool. And I remember being in university, and I was naturally attracted to business school. So I wound up in business school with the intention of completing a marketing degree and ended up with a finance degree because I was always interested in money. And then I was around all these professors for, I guess, 4 years. And all of the finance guys would just be like, I'm retired at 45 because I'm living off all my investment properties and I'm living off all my investments in the market. And I was like, like, that's pretty cool. Like, that's really interesting. All the marketing profs, all they were talking about were the evil media conglomerates out there. And then I was like, well, I'm not interested in being part of that conversation. And it totally turned me off marketing. It's really ironic how after university, I ended up just working in marketing and then finding like a lot of passion for it and a lot of natural talent for it too, which is interesting. But I've always been curious and interested in money and then how it compounds and how it's made and how it's earned. And so that's interesting to me. But what has never been really presented, which I think what you're saying is interesting, I think, for a lot of reasons. So I would say listen to this episode with your kids if they don't know much about money, is that it is an idea, like you're saying. But then there's also like this attitude we can have around it. And I think so much of society focuses on like money is the master and we are the slave. Yeah. So I can't go to that university because it costs too much money. I can't buy that car because it costs too much money. I can't go to the sales seminar with Dave Conway because it costs too much money. I can't buy the suit I want. I'm going to go buy the cheaper one because it costs too much money. So all of our decisions revolve around the money. I can't book that flight because it costs too much money.
Yeah, and that's the sin.
Yeah. It's so we just let money run our lives. And it's such a mistake.
We let money determine what we're capable of.
Yes. And we let it decide for us. Mm-hmm. We don't make the decisions. The money makes the decision. So I think this episode is really about flipping that mindset of, because this is called Money in the Mind, of you being the master, you being this decision maker, and money being basically the support mechanism to help you move your ideas into form. And that's a huge, huge shift in thinking, I think, for basically everyone. It definitely was for me.
Huge shift.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a little bit of a different story though. One of my high school math teachers was DeCluche, your math teacher. Mm-hmm. Okay, so my math teacher, now that you said that, I was like, that was my math teacher.
Yeah.
Mr. Zwartz, he used to always carry around like a wad of cash in his pocket. And I remember in grade 10, he said to me, he showed me that he had this money in his hand. And he was like, he's like, Dave, you get all this money? And I said, how? He said, stay single.
Oh my God, he's not wrong. That's hilarious.
Stay single.
Stay single. Oh my God.
And when I grew up, my mom, she programmed into my mind that money's easy to get. So we moved originally from Ireland to Canada. And my parents, when they moved here, they ended up, not right away, after like a year or two, once they started to see the potential, it's like, whoa, you can like do stuff in Canada. It's like not the American dream, live the Canadian dream.
The North American
dream.
live
the North American
dream.
There we
go.
And my parents bought a duplex and we lived on one side and they rented the other. And my mom would tell me the story of like how she just never forget when the neighbor person came over and handed her an envelope with all this money in it. And prior to that moment, she thought like, you work for money, right? But you don't earn money that way. That is one way, but you actually provide service to earn money. And if you own the service, you can actually become very wealthy. And my mom used to, back then, she started acquiring more and more properties. And she used to get me to count, because you used to just get cash or checks back then.
Right.
She used to get me to count the money for her. Yeah. And she would give me a $2 bill after I had all the money counted. And I think she was just trying to show me, like, get me to like touch the money and count the money. Right. And she used to say like, money's easy to get. Right. Money's easy to get.
That's a good idea to bake into a kid. Easy to
Great
get money.
idea. Yeah. So I've never really had money stress. So, I've heard you say on another podcast, I used to have like the fear of poverty, right? I never really had like money stress. My difficulty was that money was easy to get, so I'd borrow it. I'd be in debt all the time.
That was the problem. That was the missing link in the chain for you.
Yeah. So there's 3 ways to earn money, and it's very simple.
Yeah.
And before we go into the mind part, I'd like to just sort of set some fundamentals just around money. So there's 3 ways to earn money. The first way to earn money is time for money. And this is where, you hire me and you give me $10 an hour. And I work for you for an hour. You give me $10. I work for you for 2 hours. You give me $20. I work for you for 3 hours. You give me $30. Now, the problem with this way of earning money, and over 96% of the world earns money this way, the problem with this way of earning money is saturation. Eventually, you get tired. And human beings have to sleep. And we have to rest. And if we don't, we actually die.
Right.
And I remember you telling me a story of a man that you used to work with through the Jazz Fest, and he died.
Yeah, he didn't work on the team.
No, I know
but
that. Through. He was like a subcontractor or something.
Yeah. He used to support some projects. And, he basically worked himself to death. Yeah. He worked so hard. He was always on the road, and he picked up some kind of virus abroad and got sick and died. And he was like in his 40s. Like, he was a young guy, had young kids. Yeah, for sure.
Workaholism.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Which is a belief. The word ism is just a belief. So the first way is time for money. Now, the large majority of people earn money this way. And it's fine. It's fine to earn money this way, especially if you love your work. But if you're trading your life doing something that you don't really like for amount of money that you're content with, that's your life you're talking about that you're trading it for. Now, the second way to earn money is money for money. That's where I give you $100. You invest it. You can get me a 10% return on my money. So at the end of the year, you give me back $110. So I've just made $10 by giving you some money. Probably less than 2% of the population is truly benefiting from this form of money. Why? Because so many of us are trading our life for the money. So if I've got 10 grand squirreled away, I've been saving that money up for 5 years or something. I'm not just going to hand it to you.
Right.
So when you're sacrificing so much for the money that you're receiving, you may have a difficult time just handing over to some guy that might lose it. So a lot of people don't necessarily jump into that. So what's the closest they have? Well, the government has it set up in an RRSP or a 401k. That's about the extent of most people. And then maybe their house they have it in. But the third way to make money and the way to truly break free financially is multiple sources of income, multiple services for income.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that? Well, a common one in the world is real estate. Now, the cool thing about real estate is real estate moves with inflation. So real estate protects you against inflation, which is incredible. Inflation is an invisible tax.
Right.
It's constantly reducing the value of your money all the time.
I just had a good awareness personally about myself from learning about the 3 sources of income, if I can jump in. Well, the first is that I've always been curious about money. So I would say to anybody out there, get curious about money. Learn a little bit more about it, how it's made, how it could be compounded.
And get honest.
Absolutely. But get curious about how it's actually made.
How it's made or how it's earned?
How it's earned, I guess. How it's earned. Because, not how the money's like printed in the mint. But I mean, I've been to the mint actually in Ottawa. It was pretty cool. But get curious about how it's earned. Because back to my university story, like these profs, these young guys were all retiring early because they learned how to earn money outside of work. They learned how to leverage themselves. They got a stable job, they earned good cash, and then they learned how to leverage that and then built wealth through it. And that's really what they mastered. And then they basically had freedom from that, which was like fascinating. I didn't understand how to do that, but I was interested in it. And then I remember meeting you, and you had this background in real estate. And I liked that. I was like, oh, I'm interested in that. I don't know much about that. I know more about markets, and I know more about investing in the market and that kind of thing. And so I liked that you had that perspective and you were interested in that. Actually, it was something that drew me to you. I was like, oh, I like that he likes that. I don't know why. I just think it's interesting. But when I look at this time for money puzzle, or this ways to earn money, because it is like a puzzle. You've got time for money. That's like your day-to-day, your job. Then you've got money for money. I, by the way, had no problem giving our money to an investor. I know you struggled with that for a long time. I never suffered with that paradigm. I was very comfortable with that. I was actually more comfortable with that than anything else. I was like, I know I live in a stable country. I know I can give my money to the bank, and I know I can at least earn like 4 to 5%, even in like the lowest risk possible investment, and I can work my way up. I was always drawn to that. It sounded very like almost easy, like too easy. Like I can earn money just by giving a smarter person in this area the money and they can compound it. It seems pretty logical. But then I look at multiple sources of income, and that's really real estate. Like you acquire more real estate, for us anyway.
Well, that's one form.
It's one form.
It's the most common form.
Yeah, like people can do all kinds of things, right? I mean, it doesn't apply just to that. So, and that's been another way we've been able to leverage income and build up wealth and all these things. But interestingly enough, when I look at my life, I got programmed, and I think lots of people get stuck. You can get programmed at an income for a long time, like in that time for money kind of bracket. If you go to the first ways to earn money, for instance, in university, I worked at a sales job. I was not that great at sales, but like I could do well because I sold cell phones back in the day. Remember like flip phones and stuff like that when they were new. And you could make good money working part-time because you earn that commission on your phone sales, right? So I got really acclimated to that. I had no living expenses. I lived at home. I worked in sales. I went to university, and then I also taught dance. I was raking in anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 a month with no overhead. All I had to do is pay my tuition, and like I could live at home. So I could live cheap, earn pretty good money, and like it was good. And because I was like comfortable there, I got stuck there for a really long time. I got stuck there for almost 10 years at that level.
Yeah. Regardless of what you were doing.
Regardless of what I was doing. I got better jobs. I got cooler jobs, still stuck at the same level.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And it was obviously my mindset and my self-worth, my confidence, like so many things. But I know that like when it comes to money, it's like, it's just so much bigger than we know. And like, it's about learning how to figure out this time for money piece and then leveraging it. Anyways.
Yeah, big time. And are you willing to do that?
Yeah.
So the third way to earn money is multiple services for income. So you see, you don't have to be the one providing the service.
Yeah.
You have to be the one that owns the service.
That's it. That's just it. It's like you don't earn the money by doing the work yourself. That's not how people get rich.
But so you think, okay, well, time for money, where you're like, well, you are physically providing the service. That's why you're receiving the money. So it's not your work.
Yeah.
So working is not how you earn money.
Yeah.
Providing service is how you earn money.
How you earn money.
So when you provide service in the first category, which is time for money, you are saturated. You are confined to your physical presence. When you move into multiple sources of income, multiple services for income, which I like to say because it's service first, okay? The receiving is an effect of what? Of a service, of an agreement. So when you start to get into multiple services for income, you need to understand you don't have to be physically present to provide the service.
Right.
Like Jack and I have real estate. You know, we don't go there and cook their meals and make their beds or anything at all like that in any way, shape, or form. I have not met or even know the names of probably the last 200 tenants we've had in the last, 7 years or whatever.
Right.
But I own it. And those people send money into the bank every single month. But they're being provided a service. They're just not being provided the service by me.
Right. Exactly. Leverage.
That's right. So it's a massive thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a big thing to just kind of, I think, to wrap your mind around, especially if it's like way outside of your paradigm, outside of your raising.
Well, here
if you weren't raised that way, it's really hard to
get exactly.
Get past it.
And I've seen people work really hard, and I've seen people get smarter too, where they do these things, but then something happens that they get knocked back down. If you don't change your money paradigm, if you don't change that number that's fixed in your mind, and I'm here to tell every person listen to this, you have a number fixed in your mind. You earn the amount of money you earn because you're in the habit of earning it. It's a habit.
Exactly. I got stuck at $3,000 to $4,000 a month for a really long time.
That's right. And then you find that comfort zone, and it's like water always will find its equilibrium, right? It'll always find that lowest grade. And as people, we need to understand that we have a money consciousness. I did a talk where it was money manifestors or something like that. And as I was listening to some of the other speakers speak, I was like, this is like a woo-woo event. You know those, like woo-woo? Mm-hmm. When you hear the word woo-woo, what do you think, Jack?
What do I think? Kind of like hippie ladies dancing in the desert. That's what I think.
Do you think I'm a little woo-woo?
Yeah, but like,
Grounded
like a good amount of woo-woo. Like, not to the point. Like, I can't imagine you dancing with the hippie ladies in the desert, even though
put it by me.
But although you would probably like it.
Give me a chance.
Dave, you don't even dance at weddings anymore, let alone in the desert with the woo-woo ladies. So I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think you're woo-woo, Dave. No, I think you're actually very grounded. You're very logical, very insightful. And I think you have a really strong sense of yourself and you have a strong sense of spirituality. No, I don't think you're that woo-woo.
Maybe I'm not. I say I'm off with the fairies, but I'm grounded in the dirt. I don't know. Anywho, so enough about me. Let's talk about these ladies here. So, I was at this manifestation event, and I realized I might got a woo-woo one. Mm-hmm. And as they wanted me to talk about attracting money mindset. And I asked them, I was like, who here would like to earn money? And everybody at the event said me, I would. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, the truth is you're already earning money. Like you already earn money. What you really want is you want to learn how to earn more money. Mm. So when it comes to mindset's an interesting word because mindset, everyone's like, oh, I need a mindset or whatever. It's like, you need to understand your mind's already set. It's like a cruise control. It's like a thermostat in a house. Everybody has a money thermometer. Everybody has a set point. Mm-hmm. And you'll be shocked. I used to do this seminar called Money and Guilt because I discovered that a lot of people feel the emotion of guilt as they start to increase their income.
Oh, yeah.
I know I did.
Oh, I did too. It's so weird. It's like, I've always liked the finer things, Dave. Like, I've always been bougie. Even when I had nothing, I made $3,000 a month. Like I always like nicer things, right?
You probably acquired debt when you were doing that.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure I did. Always liked the nicer things, but had crazy paradigms around earning money.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's so weird. And then also you have to reconcile wanting more money because it's like, oh, what does that say about me if I want to earn more money? It's a very confusing way to live.
Jack, as a husband and wife,
yeah.
Have you ever had some credit card that I never knew about?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. But never crazy, Dave. Never been crazy.
Hey, it's not about that.
Anyway, but yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So we all have this governor. And the amount of money we earn is because we're in the habit of earning it. Yeah. So I was always trying to increase my income. I was always trying to get my income up, but it always went back to the set point. Something always happened. Always happened to push me back. I had to change my zero is what I call it. Change my zero. So I was very comfortable with a $70,000 line of credit, sitting there. If it went to 80,000, it's like, ooh, I'm stressed now. So then my thermostat would kick in and I'd go out and I'd do something about it, right? So I think we all need to start to change what is our zero? So there's 4 habits of financial freedom, how to create an abundance of money in your life. And the first habit is the habit of increasing your income. So that's what the 30-day year is all about, where you take your current monthly income and you multiply it by 12. And that becomes your financial goal. And you're always in the habit of increasing your income. If you form the habit, and habits are hard to break, if you form the habit of increasing your income year after year after year, you're going to find that your income is perpetually going up, regardless. The second habit is the habit of saving and investing. So when you start to save and invest, then you're going to start to leverage the second way to earn money, which is money for money. So as you start to put X away every month, set your saving goals as well. As you start to put X away, you're going to start to compound and benefit from that. And then the third habit is the habit of giving or tithing. So it's the habit of uncomfortable generosity. So start to make a better impact with your money. Start to stretch your money, make it get to work. As I've said before, that the best way to use money is to improve your own life and help improve the lives of others. And then the fourth habit is the habit of debt reduction. So start to crush out your debts, and then you won't be on the negative side of compound interest.
They're sound habits. Makes a lot of sense. I think one habit out of the 4 that can get sticky for some is understanding how to increase their income. So can you go deeper on that?
Well, just follow the 30-day year steps that are outlined in the philosophy. But it all starts with you setting that goal. So set a multiplication goal. Now, let's say a person's like, well, I work in a job and that doesn't really, I'm never going to earn that much money at this job. That doesn't matter. Still follow the steps. I remember I was teaching this philosophy a few years ago to an insurance brokerage. And I was focusing mostly on like the insurance agents, like the salespeople, because they kind of, on the surface had the power to change their income. But there's this one lady there that was hired as a contractor, just brought in hourly, to start like they were changing their systems or something. And she was brought in to like just literally put the data into the new systems or the new computer. Mm-hmm. And this woman was like, I would say, was digesting more than anyone else the information that I was teaching. So I'd go into their office every week for 2 hours and I would teach. I would teach the 30-day year ideas. And she made a goal to multiply her income and she started to affirm it. By the end of those 12 weeks, that lady was earning more money than anyone else of all the salespeople in that office. Mm-hmm. What happened? As she started to affirm the new income, as she started to read her goal card, she started to think of new ways to earn money. And one day she said she was out for supper with her husband, and her husband said, hey, I think we should buy older cars from the auctions. I can fix them up and we can sell them. This lady started earning over 6 times more money outside of work from that idea than she was in work. By the end of those 12 weeks too, they brought her on full time and she ended up becoming the office manager.
Wow.
So you would think, well, I can't do that. Don't underestimate the power of your subconscious mind. Don't underestimate. You have every right to replace the governor. And what I mean by that is the governing habit nature of how much you earn. I've got tons of stories like this. I went out for coffee with a gentleman once, and a few years ago, and he was a teacher in school, like becoming a teacher. So he's just graduating university. And I said, well, how much would you like to earn? He's like, oh, like 20 grand a month. And I said, okay. And he said, well, how am I going to do that? I'm like, freaking God, student debt, and I don't even have a job as a teacher yet. And teachers don't earn that. I said, that's okay. Keep on with your teaching aspirations, but affirm the 20 grand. Mm-hmm. As he affirmed it, he started to think about money. Then he started to get creative. That's what happened with this lady and her husband too. They started to create money. Mm. This is the absolute truth, Jack. You create your own economy.
Right.
Whatever you focus on amplifies. Whatever you focus on expands. So you don't need to have everything. It might not, like it's like, this is madness. Just focus on it. Keep affirming it. Keep building an image of it. You're going to find, and lastly, start going the extra mile in your current environment. Start leaving every person you meet with the impression of increase. Start just overflowing. Put a little more energy into what you're doing, and everything you're doing, it has to come back. It's an absolute law.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It reminds me of discussions we've had about the imagination, really, because the goal, if it's like set it in the right spirit, it starts to fire that imagination and gets all these ideas flowing in.
That's right.
And so if you feel like, oh, I can't do that, Dave, I'm stuck in a 9-to-5, or I can't do that, Dave, I have a unionized based organization I work for, I'm a teacher like that other guy, and I know exactly how much I can earn after 10 years, 15, 20, 25 years. Everything's mapped out for me. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Like, so don't let, I'm not saying you don't have to change something.
Right.
I'm not saying that you're not going to have to create something. I'm not saying that you can sit and do the exact same things over and over and over. What I'm saying is that as you condition the mind for that different income level, you're going to start to become aware of opportunities. Some of these opportunities will come through your husband as you're sitting there in a dinner. Some of them might come through some other form. Some of them might come right from your own creativity. You might be driving to work one day, then all of a sudden get this idea to do something. Like I love the story of the gentleman. He was a cop that started Boston Pizza.
Right. Yeah. He was a host on Dragon's Den.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He used to be a police officer.
Right.
You know, like what about what's that company you like? Restoration Hardware.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was a carpenter.
Was he? I actually
And
didn't know that.
Yeah, and he used to do renovations, and he started noticing that people like kind of like highfalutin people or whatever couldn't get some of the stuff they wanted, and then he was like, I bet you I could fill that.
I do know they started to remake objects from a certain time period because you couldn't get them anymore. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right. So it's like there's always opportunity. There's
Right.
always opportunity. But if they say you have for you to win, you got to be in the right place and the right time. Okay, that's true. But the truth is this: you got to be aware you're in the right place at the right time.
That's right. And also, I think just be aware and acknowledge the fact that you have many personal advantages just by having an imagination and by having ambition and drive to go for something greater.
Right.
That alone can set up incredible things into your life. So I know I'm a big fan of Malcolm Gladwell's work. You are kind of on the fence about it because he doesn't, one of his titles is called Outliers. And it talks about how there's like all these crazy advantages that people have in certain pockets. And all of a sudden they shoot off like rockets. Like for instance, Bill Gates, when he started Microsoft, he had been working in a computer lab for like years and years before that and had banked over 10,000 hours, like, working on programming code. So when he started his computer company, his software company, he was already primed with so much experience that he was just set to succeed because he was already had the experience to help him amplify the entire tech industry. He was like right place, the right time with the right amount of time and skill put in. So those stories are interesting too. But I think just to remember the fact that so much can be done no matter what. Like we're not all Bill Gates in the computer lab for 10,000 hours. We can just accept new ideas. We can put our imaginations to work and so much can flow into our lives.
Here's a great question that I'm going to ask you, Jack, and I'll ask the listeners too. How much money are you comfortable earning?
Oh, I've never thought about that before.
Oh, that's why I'm asking it for you. How much money are you
I don't
comfortable
know.
earning?
Like each month or every year or who knows?
How much money are you comfortable earning in your life?
Overall? Like
Sure.
at the end of my life?
Sure.
Well, I mean, I know we have a goal. We have a personal goal, and I like that goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I could share that.
Well, just keep it simple. How much money are you comfortable earning? How much are you?
I just need more parameters, though, I think. Like, do you mean like in the
How
course
much
of my
money
life
do you want
or
to be
this
worth
week?
by the end of your life?
Okay, there we go. At least 100 million.
And you believe you're comfortable earning that, though.
Yes, but
Until
I have
you
no
actually
idea.
start to earn it.
Yeah. I don't know what it's going to feel like once it.
Do you know one of the
starts to
scariest
manifest.
things that people experience that follow the 30-day year is when they actually start to get what they want? I was so accustomed to always having debt that when I started to see cash stacking up in the bank because of these ideas, I started getting uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I remember this one time we were transferring some of our money from one account, one savings account, investment account, and had to go through our regular bank account, and then had to move back up into a different account. And I remember as that money moved over, it was like I was comfortable with that money being outside, like some number on a sheet. But when I saw it was almost like you don't own it that way. It's kind of weird. But when that money came over into the bank account, was like in our bank account that's usually at a set amount all the time, I remember becoming very uncomfortable with that.
No, I understand that totally. I feel the same. I have felt the same way. When you see it like build up, it's almost like you get fearful that it could be taken away, which is why I think the understanding of protecting money and wealth is also a really important part of just the money conversation in general. Like, how do you protect money once you have it?
Yeah,
So that
exactly.
it
And that's
doesn't
called,
just roll through like a sieve, you know?
yeah, it's called wealth management.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Wealth management.
Yeah.
It's like, just not many, I know for me, just never any wealth to manage.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. So once you acquire once you acquire anything, it requires protection and maintenance, doesn't it? Once you
Everything.
have a child, you have to protect that child and maintain it and nurture it and all these things.
And that's why the third habit is so massive, because I think the safest way to navigate wealth and wealth accumulation is generosity. I think it protects the soul. I think it protects you. Like, and at the end of the day, like, that's what all that matters when you go the other side. Like, because you ain't taking none of the money with you.
Right.
You ain't taking your house with you.
Yeah.
You're just a custodian, right?
Yeah.
But who you are, that's really what you bring over.
Yeah.
That's really the score sheet. Like, I have a hard time imagining that, let's say like you, T-Bone, and myself, we're all sitting there on a couch and we all just passed away. I know we all crashed a car at the same time or something. I don't know. Like, we all passed at the same moment, and we're sitting there on a beautiful white couch, and God's like looking at us, and he's like, "Oh, T-Bone, very disappointed in you, man. Like, you only made $5 million, that's all you made." And then he looks at you, Jack, and God's like, 20 mil, Jack, right on the nose, loved it, perfect
I thought it was
amount.
100 million.
No, 20.
Oh.
And then he asked me, and he's like, "Dave, very disappointing you. Or you made too much, 100 million." So we get all kinds of weird emotional connections to money, the amount of money that we're earning, how much money we should earn. Some of us believe that God is involved in it. We are misinterpreting quotes in the Bible. We're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. We have the craziest belief system around money.
Yeah.
But understand this, your money's coming out of your belief system. When I started to work with Bob Proctor, he used to say this all the time: "I know where the money is." That's what he used to say. "I know where the money is." And I say, "Damn it, tell me." I shake him, I grab him and shake him. I actually didn't do that, but that's what I wanted to do. Like, tell me where the damn money is, man. I need some money right now.
He's just a recipe for maddening people with that line, Bob. That's what he was doing.
And I say, "Where's the damn money, man?" And he'd never say. And then this one time we were down in Los Angeles, and he was running a Q&A at lunch for some VIPs. And one of the VIPs was talking about the money. And he slipped up saying, no, they were asking, what's the top 2 chapters in Think and Grow Rich? And he used to always say decision and persistence. And then this one time he answered imagination and persistence. I'd never heard him say that. And I ran up to my hotel room and I started studying imagination. And I discovered that all the money is coming through the imagination. All of our money comes through the mind, all of it. Earl Nightingale used to say, the human mind is the richest gold mine on planet Earth. I've asked people this question too. Would you rather have your mind or $100 million diamond? What's more valuable, your mind or $100 million diamond?
Your mind.
Exactly.
I like that Bob sent you on a little scavenger hunt there. He just wanted you to think.
Wanted me to think. For some reason, I don't do that. I just tell people it's in your mind. I know where the money is. It's in the mind. Right. And if a person wants to increase their income, I love talking about money, by the way. Mm-hmm. If a person wants to increase their income, there's a really simple method, and it's called the QQS method or the QQA method. Mm-hmm. And it starts, and you can start right where you are. It starts by improving the quality of your product or service. Like, nothing's stopping us from improving the quality of something. Mm-hmm. The second way is the quantity. Increase the quantity of what you're selling. That one's a little harder to navigate because that has all kinds of management stuff and growth-based and systems and business and all kinds of things like that when it comes to the quantity. And then the last is change the spirit in how you serve or your mental attitude behind your service. And nothing is stopping any human being from doing that. Pleasing personality. Yeah. This morning, I don't know what the hell, I talked to 2 people this morning, and both of them had terrible attitudes. And I was like, you are very unpleasant to communicate with.
Right. I guess they missed the memo that it was Friday. I love it. The QQS.
QQS. Yeah.
Quality, quantity, spirit.
Yeah.
Spirit of your service.
Yeah. And you'll
Which
be
is like your attitude.
100%.
Yeah.
So any person that I've taught the 30-day year to that's
Yeah.
been implementing it,
Yeah.
it's the craziest stuff that increases their income.
Yeah.
And I would say quite possibly 100% of them that actually experience an increase in income, they all go through this phase where they realize they have a bad attitude towards a specific amount of money. When they change their attitude, their income starts to change. You see, you've never earned money by working. All of your money is coming out of your mental attitude.
Ooh,
All of it.
that's wild. Yeah. No, 100%. I believe it. I've lived it. Our attitudes, they control your quality of life. And how much you earn is part of your quality of life. Like, it just controls everything. It's so wild. Here we think it's all about like learning how to invest better and having the right financial planner and learning how to make more money at work, when it really is just about our attitude.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I remember by following the 30-day year philosophy, being informed by our wealth managers that we could retire. Took 7 years.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah. So so people think that it takes 40 years to retire,
Right.
or 30 years to retire, or 50 years to retire. Took us 7 years of following this philosophy that we could retire.
That we could. Yeah.
But it was kind of a depressing thought, because they basically said, but you're not allowed to increase your lifestyle.
Right.
And that's depressing. And then also you can't give more than
give
you're
any.
giving.
Yeah.
Like, so everything would
But
become
also-
budgeted and restricted.
But
That's
honestly,
depressing.
Like, what does it really mean at the end too? Like, to your point, it's like it's just a number on a screen. It's just a metric to measure your own personal growth. And if you just look at it that way, that's really the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter how much money you end up with in the end. It's just the growth. It's the experience of it. It's fun. It's more fun to figure out how to provide more service than to just lay on a beach, personally. I like a day of laying on the beach, but after that, I'm good. Like, I'm ready to just work again. I really like to work.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So
And building generosity helps you navigate accumulating more money. But you got to get comfortable with it. You got to get comfortable with it. How much money are you comfortable earning?
thank you for listening to the 30-Day Year podcast. If you want more episodes like this, hit subscribe. And to learn more about us, visit conwaymentorship.com. If you have a question for Dave and I, please email us at hello@conwaymentorship.com. Before the next episode, check out our show notes and download our money worksheet to help you understand where you're currently set around earning money.
Produced at
Sound Lounge by T-Bone.